Hello, folks, and we got interesting news for you today. Very good news, by the way, is that might spike Bitcoin way, way up. And the news is retirement funds might be coming into Bitcoin. Now, that's exciting because retirement funds are big, like massive. Hundreds of millions or billions or possibly tens of billions or even hundreds of billions of dollars. It starts small, but it could snowball into something magnificent. And yes, it's only one state right now, and the state that's in question is Arizona. That's right, the Senate is mulling a proposal to add Bitcoin ETFs to retirement portfolios. An estate retirement portfolio is pretty big. So the Arizona State Senate is considering a proposal to encourage the inclusion of Bitcoin exchange-traded ETFs in two of the state's retirement portfolios. The resolution is currently reviewed by the House for a second time after it passed the Senate's third reading in a 16-13 vote. If passed, the proposal would encourage the Arizona State Retirement System and the Public Safety Personnel Retirement System to consider adding exposure to Bitcoin ETFs in their respective portfolios, according to state records. So basically, the entire Arizona state system, retirements, maybe pension funds and all that, that would be adding some part of Bitcoin to their retirement portfolios. And the argument is it would act as a good hedge and it's a good investment, which I believe it is. Now, how much of the state's funds would be added to the portfolios, I don't know. But even a small amount of the state's funds to portfolios can equal a lot of money. It encourages ASRS and PSRS. They would need to monitor the developments in the Bitcoin ETF industry and consider the implications of allocating Bitcoin ETFs to their retirement portfolios, which would involve consulting with firms that offer a securities and exchange approved ETF, such as BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK, or any of the 12 ones we have now. A comprehensive report would then need to be sent to Arizona's state treasurer, president of Senate, and speaker of the House of Reps, outlining the feasibilities, risks, and potential benefits of adding the Bitcoin ETF. So this will get the entire process rolling, and I think it could be done in a fairly short amount of time. And what they want to do is by considering Bitcoin ETFs, Arizona is looking to leverage the inherent value and potential stability offered by Bitcoin, akin to traditional safe haven investments like gold. So, earlier this year, Chicago Board Options Exchange President John Palmer anticipated that a spot Bitcoin ETF approval would pave the way for pension and retirement investment account funds to invest in Bitcoin via the ETFs. So that is massive, like recommending that retirement funds and pensions invest in Bitcoin ETFs. I don't really know how much they are, but I think like this could get Arizona rolling as well as the other states. And eventually, if enough states adopt it, the feds might adopt it. And that's what we're really after, because those Fed pension funds, the Fed retirement funds are massive. And if they invest, then Bitcoin is in the safe. Because if Bitcoin ETFs and even in the future Ethereum ETFs are part of those funds, and the SEC won't really dabble around and screw around and harass those assets anymore. So it's kind of a safe haven for us and lots of money pouring in. And you know what? This is one of the big good things about ETFs that allows these kind of investments to actually invest in Bitcoin, because they can't directly buy Bitcoin for whatever reason. They need the security, they need the, regulatory satisfaction that the ETFs gives them. And this is a big, big benefit of having Bitcoin ETFs. So the ETFs were indeed kind of like the magic formula to pump Bitcoin sky high. And if this comes in next year and state funds start buying, boy, the bull run could last a lot longer than we thought. So this is pretty massive. No action right now, but extremely bullish news from Arizona that could easily spread to other states. Remember, they have states' rights, so each state will vote on this separately. BlackRock has actually hit record daily inflows. And this was on Tuesday, but it just goes to show you that a month after the ETFs, more than a month after the ETFs passed, the excitement of the ETFs have not come down. In fact, they are going up, and investment is actually going upward, not downward. So on Tuesday alone, they gobbled up over 12,000 Bitcoins by themselves. Now, let me remind you in context, we only mine 900 per day. So there's a big, big disparity. That's why we're going up. And that's why actually Bitcoin made an all-time high on Tuesday, because BlackRock gobbled up 12,000 Bitcoins. So they devoured 788 million worth of Bitcoin on Tuesday, as the reigning crypto king registered a new all-time high above 69K for the first time since 2021. And the ETF recorded a 30% increase from the previous high of 609 million set on February 29th. And February 29th was only about, less than a week before that. So like every week we are making new highs. The grayscale selling cannot seem to keep up with the BlackRock buying. So, there's so much demand. Michael Saylor's trying to buy more right now. So basically, IBIT held over 183,000 Bitcoins, worth approximately 11.5 billion, and it's getting close to MicroStrategy's 193,000. So, BlackRock is going to pass MicroStrategy in terms of how many Bitcoins held, and there's no sign of slowing down. Fidelity is catching up too right now. And of course, Fidelity but only had $125 million worth of inflows. And of course, ARK had 64 million. The trading volume for the Bitcoin ETFs also hit a record of $10 billion on Tuesday. And that also broke the previous record of 7.64 billion. So the volume is actually going up and not down. So that's really, really impressive. And of course, Grayscale plays a part of it, and they are upping their sales right now, maybe because of Genesis, maybe because of other stuff, but they cannot counterbalance the BlackRock and Fidelity buying, which is why prices are going to stay high and why they're actually going up. And there's only so much that Grayscale can sell off, because they can't sell off more than they actually have. So we're about to go up in a big way, even more maybe in a couple of weeks, once the Grayscale sales forcibly stop and BlackRock just starts eating up way more than the sales have sold. So, we have a lot of good stuff coming ahead for Bitcoin. And so there's no reason to fret, because it looks like the bull run is going to be bigger and it's going to last longer. And to top off the good news, there's a lot of dissension in the SEC about how the SEC is handling cryptocurrencies. So two of the commissioners, Hester Peirce and Mark Ueda, they've actually started trolling their own agency based on these settlements that they don't agree with. The latest one is called Shapeshift, and they wrote a satirical dialogue mocking the SEC's approach to the crypto market. And obviously, Gary Gensler probably isn't very happy about this, because this is dissension among its own ranks. And it's not like 1 out of 5, it's 2 out of 5. That's like 40% of the commissioners are not agreeing with how the SEC is acting. And of course, they are trying to force Shapeshift, or have forced Shapeshift, to actually shut down. So if you look at their dialogue, it's between the FSS and at the SEC. The FSS says, "I'm not sure, because I can't really understand what criteria you use to decide whether a token offering is a securities transaction, and if it is, whether the token that was subject of the investment contract remains a security in a secondary market transactions." SEC says, well, if you don't know whether you're dealing in securities, you can't register. So if you're confused, you can't register. If you can't register, you can't trade, and you can't really do anything. And by the way, if some of the assets you're dealing in are not securities, you also can't register. So they ask, so how can you help us think through which assets are securities? No, we suggest that you read 2017 Dow report, and it will all be clear to you. You can also look at our enforcement actions if you want. I read it, and I read about your enforcement actions, and many of the enforcement actions, let me remind you guys, have actually failed miserably. And it's like, I still have questions. The SEC is like, hire a lawyer. This is dialogue between the two commissioners and the SEC, or a satirical dialogue. And this is like a play in a scene. SEC says, if you have questions, hire a lawyer. FSS did, I did, and the lawyer has even more questions. And the SEC says, sorry, we cannot help any more than we already have. We won't give legal advice. So more or less, the SEC, what they're showing is, in a satirical way from two SEC commissioners, that the SEC really doesn't have any idea what it's doing. And it's confused itself, and it's just doing regulation by enforcement. They're basically bringing lawsuits whenever they can, just to hope to make everything a security. And I think this will shed light on the courts and probably senators and congressmen to see what a mess the SEC is. And this will not help the SEC's argument on any of the court cases. And the more court cases they fail, the better it is for us. So that's the new news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit the bell notifications button, and I will see you guys next time.